What's going on, you guys? It's Derek from mancaveretreat.com. What I'm going to be talking about today is a problem that I had when building my own man cave. So by the end of this video, you should have a good idea of if you're having slow internet in your man cave, either wireless or like if you have a smart TV, you should have a good idea of what could be causing that and some potential solutions. So let's just get right into it. Again, I'm Derek from mancaveretreat.com. If you like this content, subscribe. There are going to be plenty of this stuff coming. Also check out my blog where I talk about this stuff more in depth. All right, let's get right into it. So the kind of problems that could be causing this, the first is if you have a long distance that the wireless is going from your router to, let's say, your TV or whatever you're trying to wirelessly connect. It could be like you could be entertaining and your guests could be on their phones and the Wi-Fi connection is kind of shoddy. So there could be a long distance there. So that's something to look at. Another thing is the Ethernet cable could be extended too long. That's something that a lot of times people will say. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And then the other thing is the Ethernet cable could actually be damaged. If you're using an Ethernet cable, you're probably looking at a TV that you have hardwired. So we'll take a look at those. So the first issue with the long distance wireless from router to your man cave, it's hard to talk about because there are so many different things kind of going on with this. Every router is different. What you're going to want to do, if you already have a router, go ahead and just Google wireless maximum effective distance. So what that will tell you in a perfect situation how far the signal can go. A lot of things are going to affect that, like how much traffic you have, what people are doing. If you have 5 different people streaming different Netflix shows on your on your router, it's probably gonna be pretty slow. But give that a look. Not all routers are created equal. Different routers are going to be better able to handle more traffic, longer distances. So keep that in mind. I personally think this is kind of my personality. I'd rather have more router than not enough. So don't be afraid to get the next tier up. Another thing to consider is if you are looking at that, where is it? If your router is downstairs in a basement and the wireless has to go through cement and a bunch of walls to get to your man cave, that's going to affect that distance. It's just a fact. So it could be the positioning of your router too that's causing some troubles. The other thing that I mentioned, the Ethernet cable being run out too long. So this one is like I said, I had a problem I had a TV that was hardwired from my router up to my man cave, and I was having trouble with its speed. So I assumed that because the wire was going from downstairs to upstairs, that it must have been because the Ethernet cable was too long. So actually, the effective distance of a Ethernet cord is 275 to 295 feet. So basically, unless your Ethernet cord is running over 300 feet distance, the length of your Ethernet cable isn't going to cause a noticeable problem. The other part is your Ethernet cable could be damaged. Not all Ethernet cords are created equal. This was news to me when I learned this. There are Cat 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6. So there is a chance, especially if you, like I said, running from downstairs through a bunch of walls, you had your electrician run it for you, there could be damage there. So that's something to consider as well. So those are the different things that could be going wrong. So now, out of the negatives, how do we know things that could be going wrong? How do we fix that? There are two places you should start. I think that you should start in a place, start by doing things that aren't going to cost you much money, and you're not going to be jumping through a bunch of hoops just to realize that it wasn't the fix you needed. So first, just move your router. Your router might be downstairs. Go plug it in upstairs if you can. Plug it right in your man cave. See if it works. If it doesn't work, then the wireless, there's probably something going on. The other piece, so you're not worried about the wireless connection, but you're worried about the wired connection, just bring your router up into your man cave and hardwire it right into your TV. It's just like maybe use a different cable, and see if that works. If that works, then yeah, the problem is probably your cable. If it's still not working, there's something else going on. So these two options are kind of things that you should look at just to make sure things are working the way they should be. That way you don't go and spend a bunch of money trying to fix something and realizing it's still not going to work. So with those, it turns out the Ethernet cable was the problem. So what you might want to do then is upgrade that Ethernet cable. Like I said earlier, there are a couple different types of Ethernet cable. They're not all created equal. So when I had the man cave, like I said, wired it from downstairs, I made the mistake of using an older Cat 5 Ethernet cable. I didn't know it at the time, just thought they're all the same. So don't do that. Yes, they are cheaper, but they are more easily damaged, and they are also not as efficient. So if I were to do it over again, I'd just go get a Cat 6 Ethernet cord. So if you find that's the case, replace it with a Cat 6 Ethernet cord. That'll also future-proof your man cave. So it'll be, top of the line for longer, and you won't have to go and change out a cord every 5 years or whatever. Do that. Quick and easy. Ethernet cable. I'll link to it in the description, but it's like $25. The hard part is snaking it through your walls. But it's worth doing because it keeps it out of the way. So now that's for the hardwire, but let's talk about if you are trying to work on your internet connection. So sometimes, like I said, the distance is a problem, or it's just you have a bunch of devices trying to connect to your one router. An option you have is to just get a Wi-Fi extender, a range extender. This will kind of act like a second router, and it'll kind of start to create that network. You're probably going to want to do this anyway if you're thinking about modernizing your man cave and making it as effective as possible. And they're pretty inexpensive. They're like $35-$40. I'll link to that in the description as well, the one I use. But it's just the best way to go because you just kind of plug it in, treat it like another router, you connect it to the router, and all devices in your man cave, you just have them linked to that instead of your router. And it's non-invasive, just kind of goes in the outlet. Easy game, easy upgrade. So those are my ideas for fixing slow internet in a man cave. If you have any suggestions that you've done or tried, go ahead and throw them in the comments. It's a frustrating thing with the internet. There are so many different moving parts. Sometimes it can just be your internet company. So some things are out of our control, but we do what we can to fix the stuff that is in our control. So I appreciate you guys watching this whole video. Again, my name is Derek from mancaveretreat.com. Check out the blog if you like this content. Until next time.